Front page of The Age today had an interesting story that literacy and numeracy skills of students in Year 12 will now be tested and known as your final marks before, of course, you go off into the workforce, or if you care more about your ATAR scores, well, then, of course, that'll be all that matters going off to university. But to me, it seems really practical and obvious because, Tom, apparently some states do it. Victoria is now deciding to do it as well. Is it a bit of a surprise dropping it on them for this year, or is this one of those things that, you know, you need a little bit of warning before everyone goes, I've got to know what now?
Yeah, well, you know, they've only had a global pandemic to deal with as they go through year 11 and 12, so why not throw another challenge at them? I feel like maybe they should do some bargaining with those students. They are going to throw, it comes with 2 exams on them in the middle of the year, along with already their half-yearlies, their trials, all the assignments, assessments they have to do before they even get to the final end-of-year exams, that they maybe needed to bargain with them and take something else off the table, because it will add extra pressure to those students. Look, I think possibly it does make good practical sense, so we can be 100% sure that these kids have that basic set of skills when they leave. But don't you think it's a bit sad that it's got to this point where someone could be at year 12 and you don't know whether they can read or write?
Well, there's also, I mean, Senator, you know, plenty of examples where we keep hearing about even some of the people who put their hand up to actually teach maths don't have some of the real basics. And look, you know, obviously, you know, you need a better brain than mine to be a maths teacher, but it feels like a very obvious reform. I just don't know that you drop it on the Year 12 kids now, but what do you think about whether this is the right thing that people want to see at the end of Year 12 for somebody who's not going on to uni?
Oh, I think it's brilliant. I think it should be rolled out across Australia, and every other jurisdiction should be doing it if they're not already doing it. I think it's very important for future employers and for families to see, you know, what their kids got. But Tom's got a good point. It shouldn't just suddenly at the end of Year 12 discover that some kid can't, you know, read or write or add up. This has got to be monitored through the schooling years. I also think you should have league tables of schools to see which schools are performing, and it doesn't matter whether they're a state school or a private school, because it's all about making sure that these kids are getting the right education, because their competitors aren't the kids in Australia, their competitors are the kids in China and in Japan and in Canada and all around the world. So we've got to make sure our kids are at the top of their game.
Look, I'm not going to pretend, Caroline, that if I had to sit down and do one of these tests, I'd be about as successful as one of the fake bricks behind us, right? Like I am, you know, very proud to say 42 in my HSC. Literally, the one thing I'm good at, I'm lucky enough to be doing every single night. So hallelujah. What do you think about it, though?
Look, I'm actually flabbergasted that it's taken them this long to introduce this, because every other state, as you pointed out, already has some sort of reporting levels for literacy and numeracy. So why is Victoria so far ahead? What have they been distracted by? All the activism bullshit, sorry, but
it's late enough.
Late enough time slot, instead of having to focus on these core issues. I mean, you cannot get to a stage where you're thinking of going to TAFE, university or the workforce, and you can't string a sentence together, spell, or do basic calculations. I'm sure, and I know you well, Paul, and you can do those things. So don't undersell
I wasn't fishing.
There, but
it's a bit weird if you're doing that on your own telly show, but yeah.
Enough young people and even fellow journalists who perhaps lack some of those basic skills.
Do you spell later with an 8 or not? Because, you know,
yes, L8.
We'll get to that a little later.